What's up, everybody? Today we are heading to GForce Engineering. They're here local to Kansas City. We're in the TrackHawk right now. They don't make anything for rear axle wise on the TrackHawks yet. They just came out with Driveshafts, and we're going to go out there and we're going to test fit some axles so that way they can start producing axles for the rear of these TrackHawks. It seems to be the weak link first thing that breaks when people start making some pretty serious power on these TrackHawks and taking them to the drag strip with drag rails all around. So we're going to go out there, we're going to check it out, see what they got going on, and we're also going to install a one-piece GForce Engineering drive shaft in the TrackHawk. So yeah, look forward to getting out there to GForce Engineering today, and you guys are going to be along for the ride. This is going to be the drive shaft we're putting in it. We got some axle stubs over here we're going to try some fitments on, see which best one that works once we get the stock axles out. And then once we get the measurements, GForce is going to be making some axles for the TrackHawk, which there currently is no options out right now other than stock axles. And then of course replacing the two-piece factory drive shaft with a one-piece is a good call. Nice part here. Got these billet ends on it. Just a overall nice product. But right now we're going to work on dropping the rear diff and taking the factory exhaust off. That way we can get the drive shaft off. See under here, you gotta take this big old muffler out, resonator. You got heat shields covering the drive shaft. Just a bunch of stuff going on underneath these TrackHawks. Whew. Alright, we got the factory exhaust down. There it is laying. This thing's enormous. Next up, we're going to take this heat shield off and then get the drive shaft out of there. See here that this is where the two-part is. You got a bearing in there. Spins. Front of it. Dodge with the coming in clutch here. They got like a little neutral deal. You just push that forward and you can spin the drive shaft. So you don't have to be up in the car, going in neutral, park, to get the drive shaft bolts out. Alright, so we're going to get the stock drive shaft out, and then we're going to put in the brand new one-piece GForce drive shaft. There's that. Factory drive shafts out. Two-piece. Alright, factory axles are out. Gonna start doing some measuring with the studs. Go right through there. Once we get one of them through, we'll put the one on the diff and then we'll measure, put some load on the suspension, measure, and see how long that we need to make the drive shafts. There is the factory diff. We went ahead and pulled it out. It's a lot easier than undoing all the suspension components underneath here, not messing with the alignment or anything. It's 4 bolts to drop the diff down. 1, 2, And then you got 2 more bolts that are right below here, which you see right there. And then you just basically just got to be gentle, walk it out. We did have to take the sway bar loose in order to get the axles out that way. But pretty easy deal, really, to drop the diff on these TrackHawks. Now we're testing stub fitments on the diff side. Those are GForce axle stubs.
Yeah, it's good.
All the stuff laid out. It's a lot of parts. Alright, we got the factory diff back in, put the stock axles back in, we got all the measurements. That way GForce can produce an axle for these. A couple changes from the normal SRT Jeep to the TrackHawks. That's why we need to make different axles for the TrackHawk. They are a little different on the stubs, particularly the outside stubs that go into the hub. That is your biggest difference between a normal SRT Jeep and the TrackHawk. So we got all that information down. Now they can get to work and produce an axle for the TrackHawk. Should be a pretty quick process, but we are going to go ahead and install the single piece GForce Engineering drive shaft right now. Bob's over there cleaning out all the bolt holes where the factory Loctite's in there. Ran a tap through each of those holes, that way they're all nice and clean. And we can bolt the new billet GForce drive shaft adapters on there and get that one-piece drive shaft in. The difference between the 2 drive shafts, the GForce one is a little bit lighter. Of course, it is one piece, so you don't have that big joint in the middle, which does help out. Not exactly how much lighter it is, but it feels like a good couple pounds. So we put these adapter plates on. Basically it goes from the factory bolt pattern to a 4-bolt bolt pattern, which is what the new drive shaft is. These will adapt that. They're made out of billet. So one thing, if you guys are installing a drive shaft on one of these TrackHawks, I want to show you a little trick that GForce just pointed out. Up where the drive shaft bolts onto, you got a little yellow dot right there. And then if you go back here, there's a yellow dot. We think it's up on the 12 o'clock, but there'll be a yellow dot on this black collar here from the factory. When they balance these drive shafts, they also put a yellow dot and a yellow dot. What you want to try to do is line up those yellow dots with the factory yellow dots on the stubs on the back of the transmission and the front of the rear end. And that way everything is balanced the way it was whenever GForce balanced these drive shafts. Just a tip for you guys installing these drive shafts in the TrackHawk. And it's one of those deals, a lot of manufacturers do the same thing. So, you know, if you got like a Mustang or Camaro, Hellcat, Challenger, more than likely it's got the same dots, but after time they will wear off. They're just painted on. But if you got a newer vehicle, the dots should still be on there. But it's just a tip to help you guys out with making sure the drive shaft's on there and you don't have any vibration issues.
Yeah, it has to do with the phasing. What it basically, like, you can't get a drive shaft's balance perfect. So what these dots represent is where you put the weight if you were going to just keep trying to dial in the balance as they come off the machine. And even the factory reaches a stopping point where they don't try to optimize it anymore. And that's where, when you start factoring in run out on components and flanges on the vehicle itself, that's where, again, if they were going to try balancing that flange even more, that's where they'd want to put weight. So it's just keeping it all in phase.
Nice. Learn something new every day. All right, so as you saw, we got the new billet stubs torqued down, ready to go. We are going to install the drive shaft next. Really, it does not matter what end you put the drive shaft in. It could be, this could be the back, it could be the front. The drive shaft in. We're just tightening up these bolts right now. Everything fit great. It's a nice looking piece. right, we got the drive shaft in, got the heat shields put back in the factory locations, which is really good because heat is not good for drive shafts. So we got all the factory heat shields back in. Clearance-wise, everything is good. So that's a plus. Everything fits, goes back just like factory. Now we got to put back on this big-ass exhaust. It's all one piece. And then that'll pretty much wrap it up. We'll wait for the axles to get finished, and we'll throw in some axles here probably the next month. All right, drive shaft's in, got the exhaust back on. Everything fits great. Right now, we're putting the wheels and tires back on. Went ahead and left the center caps off. That way we can put it down on the ground and then torque these axle nut bolts to 225 foot-pounds of torque. All right, so we got all the axle fitments done. The guys at GForce are gonna go back and get all the measurements on the computer. They're gonna redesign an outer hub for the axle because the TrackHawk is a little bit different than the normal SRT. So once they do that, they'll get the axles in, start making them, producing them. We're gonna put the first set on this just to make sure they're all good here in the next week or two, however long it takes to get those axle stubs back. And then, yeah, we should be good after that. That is one of the weak points on the TrackHawks that are making a lot of horsepower and going to the drag strip. This way we can go to the drag strip, put the drag rails on all four corners, and not have any issues of worrying about breaking an axle, you know, breaking a drive shaft. It's all strong stuff that's going to be in the TrackHawk, and we'll look forward to a long year of racing.